These are a pair of Mac Tappet wrenches. I picked this pair up at a garage sale for $1. One of them is pretty rusty, the other one isn't too bad. They probably date from the 1950s through the early 60s. I want to clean these up on the wire wheel to get that rust off of them. You can tell that they're Tappet wrenches because they're long and thin. A long time ago, you had to manually adjust the valve clearance on engines by turning a bolt and a jam nut, and you needed thin wrenches to do this. I only have 2 of these, but they would have originally come in a set of 5. This is from a 1958 Mac Tools catalog. One of mine is 9/16 by 1/2 inch, and the other is 9/16 by 17/32. 17/32 is one of those oddball sizes that was really only used on Tappet wrenches. The wrenches have a V-groove opening. Supposedly this style makes more contact with the bolt head, giving 4 points of contact instead of 2. I'm skeptical if any force is actually transferred into that V-groove section, and that deeper cut might actually weaken the wrench, especially on a thin head design like this. Tappet wrenches have thinner heads than regular wrenches. Here's one of the Tappet wrenches compared to a standard wrench. A set of thin wrenches like these come in handy if you ever have to work with a nut and a jam nut. Sometimes a regular wrench is too thick and will make it so you can't turn the top one. This is also why some of the Tappet wrench sets came with overlapping sizes, so you could turn 2 nuts of the same size at the same time. Because of their thin nature, these wrenches aren't going to be very strong. You might be tempted to use their long length for extra leverage, to break loose a brake caliper or something, but you run the risk of damaging the wrench. The long length is for reach, not leverage. Here's what they look like after wire wheeling. There is quite a bit of flaking chrome on the heads, but overall I'm happy with them. They're back to serviceable condition. These were a pretty rough forging to begin with, so they're never going to be high polished. If you want your own set of Tappet wrenches, Craftsman did make a full set of them in high polished chrome up until recently. There's a bunch of them on eBay. The Craftsman ones are shinier, but they're not quite as long as the vintage Mac. The heads on the Craftsman are also slightly thicker. Also, the Craftsman ones don't feel as sturdy. I feel like I could bend the wrench with my hands. The vintage Mac ones don't feel that way. I did some poking around on Mac's website, and they still make these. Now, before you get too excited, that $57.99 price is for one wrench. So yeah, that's way too much. But they do also offer them in metric. The vintage ones never came in metric, at least not here in the US. Strap-On has their Slimline series wrenches, but these are also way too expensive. Matco has an import set that's a little more affordable. If you search for thin opened end wrench set on Amazon, there's a bunch of listings. So far, none of these seem as long as a true Tappet wrench. If you want to try your luck with one of the Amazon ones, make sure the listing says it's made out of forged steel. A lot of the reviews on the cheap sets say they're made out of stamped steel and not very durable. I think I'll just hold out until I find more vintage ones at a garage sale or flea market. These are going in my odd wrench drawer for those times when I need a thin wrench. So that's it for today. Let me know what modern uses you guys have for tappet wrenches. What do you think of that V-shape open-end design? Is that BS? Be sure to check out my channel for more old tool videos. See you later. Bye.